Welcome to Unlock the Earth TV, where we aim to bring you educational travel videos. From ancient ruins to modern cities, sacred traditions to global issues, every video is designed to educate, inspire, and help you see the planet through a deeper lens. Whether you're a curious traveler, a student of the world, or just love to learn something new, you're in the right place. Today, we'll be looking at 5 countries on the planet where tourism is either banned, discouraged, or strongly advised against, many of which, at one point in time, were considered marvels of tourism for explorers of the past. Subscribe, hit that bell, and join me as we unlock the Earth, one journey at a time. I hope you enjoy. North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or the DPRK, is one of the most secretive and isolated nations on Earth. Its tourism industry began modestly in the 1980s, primarily serving visitors from the Soviet bloc and China. In the 2000s, the regime cautiously expanded access, allowing Westerners to visit through state-sanctioned tour groups. These trips showcased curated landmarks such as Pyongyang's grand architecture, the demilitarized zone, DMZ, and cultural spectacles like the Arirang Mass Games. Some adventurers viewed it as the ultimate off-the-grid destination. However, tourism was never free. Visitors were always accompanied by government minders, with no independent travel allowed. In 2008, the shooting of a South Korean tourist at Mount Kumgang resulted in the suspension of inter-Korean tourism, and tensions continued to rise in subsequent years. A pivotal moment came in 2016 when American student Otto Warmbier was arrested for allegedly stealing a propaganda poster and later died from injuries sustained during his imprisonment. This prompted the U.S. to issue an official travel ban in 2017, prohibiting its citizens from visiting. COVID-19 then pushed the country into complete lockdown, closing all borders to foreign visitors, including Chinese nationals. As of 2025, North Korea remains completely closed to tourists, with no sign of reopening. The once limited trickle of foreign visitors has vanished entirely. The regime, never heavily reliant on tourism, has now doubled down on isolation. What was once a curiosity-driven niche tourism market has been extinguished, leaving North Korea one of the least accessible countries in the world. Number 4. Syria. Before its civil war, Syria was a burgeoning jewel of Middle Eastern tourism. The country attracted over 8 million tourists annually, drawn to its vast historical treasures like the ancient ruins of Palmyra, the Crusader castle of Crac des Chevaliers, the vibrant souks of Aleppo, and the cosmopolitan, culture-rich capital of Damascus, one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities. Visitors marveled at Syria's archaeological heritage, friendly locals, and relatively low cost of travel. At the time, it was considered one of the safest destinations in the Arab world. All of that changed in 2011, when a peaceful uprising against the Assad regime spiraled into a devastating civil war. Entire cities were reduced to rubble. Extremist groups like ISIS seized territory and destroyed priceless relics, including parts of Palmyra. The war caused massive displacement, economic collapse, and drew in regional and global powers, turning Syria into a patchwork of contested zones. The tourism industry, once a major revenue source, collapsed almost overnight. Infrastructure such as airports, hotels, museums, and roads were either destroyed or rendered unusable. Although parts of Syria are now back under government control and a handful of tours are being offered in limited areas, the vast majority of countries continue to advise against all travel. Most embassies have pulled out, and tourist visas are extremely difficult to obtain. While a small number of travelers have returned under state-sanctioned trips, the overall reality is that Syria remains off-limits for the vast majority of tourists, and its once thriving tourism industry has been all but erased. Number 3. Yemen. Yemen was once known as an authentic and untouched destination, full of cultural and natural wonders. The capital, Sana'a, was famed for its mud brick high-rises, considered among the oldest skyscrapers in the world. The island of Socotra, with its surreal dragon blood trees, attracted eco-tourists and botanists alike. Historical towns like Shibam and Al-Mukalla offered glimpses into a medieval world that had scarcely changed. Tourism in Yemen was small-scale but meaningful, often appealing to experienced travelers seeking unique cultural immersion. Trouble began in the early 2000s as terrorism and tribal kidnappings began to scare off foreign visitors. By 2010, political instability had already begun to take a toll. Then, in 2014, the Houthi movement took over Sana'a, triggering a civil war that has since involved Saudi-led coalition airstrikes, internal factional fighting, famine, and the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The conflict has obliterated infrastructure, closed airports, and fractured the country into multiple zones of control, many of them inaccessible or actively hostile to foreigners. Tourist visas are no longer issued under normal circumstances. Even Socotra, which briefly reopened for tourism via charter flights from the UAE, has become virtually impossible to reach for independent travelers. Yemen's tourism industry is now non-existent, with no functioning safety, infrastructure, or legal framework to support it. Despite its stunning heritage and natural beauty, Yemen remains one of the most inaccessible and dangerous countries on Earth, with recovery far beyond the visible horizon. Number 2, Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan was never a mainstream tourist destination, but in the 1990s and early 2000s, there was cautious optimism that its Silk Road heritage and surreal modern architecture could attract visitors. The country is home to ancient cities like Merv and Konya-Urgench, as well as the otherworldly Darvaza gas crater, often dubbed the Door to Hell. Turkmenistan invested heavily in Ashgabat, constructing gleaming white marble buildings, golden statues, and massive monuments, hoping to build a kind of post-Soviet utopia. Despite this, the tourism sector never took off. Under authoritarian leaders Saparmurat Niyazov and Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, the country imposed strict travel controls, limited visa issuance, constant surveillance, and an array of bizarre rules. Even when granted a visa, tourists had to follow tightly controlled itineraries with state-approved guides. Independent travel was discouraged or outright banned. COVID-19 provided the government an excuse to shut down the borders entirely, citing public health concerns, even while denying outbreaks within the country. As of 2025, Turkmenistan remains technically open in theory, but in practice, entry is virtually impossible. Only a tiny number of travelers, often diplomats or tightly managed business visitors, are granted access each year. The tourism industry is frozen, not due to conflict or poverty, but due to intentional isolationism and authoritarian control. And finally, number 1, Afghanistan. Afghanistan's tourism story is a tragic tale of lost potential. In the 1960s and 70s, the country was a key stop on the hippie trail, a route stretching from Europe to India. Adventurous travelers were drawn to its breathtaking mountains, hospitable people, and ancient cities like Herat, Kabul, and Bamiyan, home of the famed Buddha statues. The Afghan tourism industry was modest but vibrant, with bazaars, guest houses, and tea shops welcoming foreigners. That all ended with the Soviet invasion in 1979, followed by decades of civil war, Taliban rule, US-led military intervention, and insurgency. Any hope of rebuilding a tourism sector was wiped out after the Taliban retook control in 2021. The group has imposed harsh restrictions, especially on women, and their rule has led to the collapse of foreign investment, humanitarian programs, and most diplomatic relations. The Bamiyan Buddhas, once a symbol of Afghanistan's place in world heritage, were destroyed by the Taliban in 2001, a haunting reminder of what has been lost. As of 2025, Afghanistan is off-limits to tourists. Visas are nearly impossible to obtain, infrastructure is in tatters, and the risk of kidnapping or violence is high. Even journalists and NGO workers operate under extreme security protocols. While a few daring travelers have managed to enter the country in recent years, they do so at great personal risk and often without legal support. Afghanistan's once promising tourism industry is completely dormant, overshadowed by instability and repression, and it may remain so for many years to come. So, tell me, which of these places do you wish you could visit, either now or in the past, when they were at their peak for tourism? If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and sharing. I'm really hoping this channel takes off, and I can continue making educational content for lovers of travel all across the world. For now, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.